I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
This is the Virtual Real Estate Investor Podcast with Vincent Polisi. Buckle your seatbelt and prepare to learn how to legally make six figures investing in real estate with no money, no credit check, and nothing but a computer and internet connection. Learn how you too can begin generating buyers and sellers for free today. And why you're only 2 calls away from making a $10,000 or more payday while never leaving the comfort of your home. And now, your host, the virtual real estate investor, Vincent Polisi.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Vincent. Want to do a quick Facebook Live here. We're also going to turn it into a podcast because it contains a tremendous amount of very valuable information. I want to clarify something. So this is based off of a question that was asked yesterday in another Facebook group that popped up in my news feed. And I want to show you the question, I want to show you my answer, and then I want to show you the answers of a bunch of other people who obviously don't know what they're doing, okay, or what they're talking about, nor can they back it up and verify it. So here's the question. The question is, and I'm going to have to retranslate this to what she's really asking. She asked, is it normal for other wholesalers to post on Zillow saying they're the owner? And what she's really asking is it legal, okay, for other contract assignors, not wholesalers? So these are not people that are actually doing double closings. And for those of you who follow me, you know the difference between wholesaling and contract assignments. They're two entirely different things, two entirely different processes, two entirely different sets of contracts. The income is booked and taxed differently. The only similarity that contract assignments and wholesaling have in common are the lead generation methods. Okay, that's it. Banded signs, yellow letters, postcards, that kind of thing. All right. Wholesaling means an investor to investor sale where you double close. Okay, that's actually wholesaling. Contract assignment is where you contract on a property and then you assign the contract to someone else. It could be an investor, could be a retail buyer, could be whatever. It doesn't matter, okay? So what she's really asking is it legal for other contract assignors to post on Zillow saying they are the owner? Now, the answer to the question, of course, is no. It's not legal. And you can see my answer right here. Is I say, no, it's illegal, okay? And then if we click on this, you'll get to see a lot of the different answers that are on here. And some guy by the name of Dan Hauer says, cite the law, which, hey, I respect that because that's exactly what I always tell you guys to do. Somebody tells you something, then make them proof up on what they're talking about, okay? So my answer to him was, Dan, you don't have legal title or equitable title, ergo you can't market a property you don't own, okay? We're talking about marketing the property on Zillow, saying that you're the owner when you're not, okay? It's really not complex. I said, this stupid S word they sell you guys in these courses is nothing other than fraud and incompetence. All right, so I get a bunch of likes, right? And then we go on to the next comment. Says, okay, if people don't know this basic concept, they shouldn't be wholesaling. It's a great way to get arrested, LOL. And Patrick Bruska is correct. Absolutely, it is, okay? And for reasons I'll explain to you here in a second, okay? Jerome Claiborne comes in and says, but it makes for great comic relief because it just shows they're too damn lazy to actually research the true definition. Cassie Molino then comes on and says, Vincent, Polisi, in the contract I use, there's a clause that allows me to market their property. Now, let's talk about this for a second because somebody sent me, this goes back years ago, Cody Sperber's contract that he sells in his course. And Cody Sperber is a licensed realtor. Many of you guys know him as the quote-unquote clever investor. And in his contract, he has a clause that states, or he did, I don't know if he still does, but at that time when it was sent over, there was a clause in the contract that indicated that the seller granted the buyer the ability to market the property. Well, here's the problem with that. You can't do, a seller cannot grant you the ability to engage in licensed activities, and marketing a property for sale that you do not own or have equitable title on or a power of attorney on is illegal. It's a licensed activity that you're engaging in. So the seller can't grant you the ability to market their property, okay? Now, there are legal clauses that you can use, which is what I do, where you can obtain equitable interest in the property, not just the contract, because when you execute a contract to purchase, you've got equitable interest in the contract at that point, okay? Not the property, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't, go to court and or file memorandums and all this other stuff to try to make a claim for equitable interest in the property, all right? But you don't have equitable interest in the property at that point. You have equitable interest in the contract, okay? So I had to explain, again, for those of you that are watching this on Facebook Live, it doesn't matter unless you're obtaining legal title, equitable title, or a power of attorney. Seller cannot grant you the ability to engage in licensed activities. And then you get on here, somebody saying, Scott Swanson says, okay, that's not necessarily true about marketing a property. Depends upon what state you're in. Some allow it, others don't. So people should check before they go out and break the law. But your point is well taken. Many wholesalers don't even know how to run the numbers properly, let alone market a house. And my answer was, Scott, it's true in every state, my man. Here's what's happening. Illegally brokering without a license, false advertising, bait and switch, fraud in the inducement, and fraud in the factum, okay? And then he comes back, and this just goes to show you, people, they just, I don't know. The intelligence factor that's out there, especially in real estate, it's mind-boggling, to say the least. He comes back and says, I'm not going to argue, but it's not illegal in every state. In certain states, if you have a legal contract on a property, you can sell it. And I have to come back to him and say, Scott, no one said you couldn't sell it. You're having a different argument, okay? We're not talking about whether or not if you have a contract on a property that you can sell it. I agree with that. Of course you can sell it, okay? But going on Zillow or any other advertising medium and claiming you're the owner of the property when you're not, when all you have is a purchase and sale contract, is completely illegal, okay? You can't do that. You don't have any legal right to do that. And if you think you do, then proof up and show me the law that says that you have that right, because you can't. This is the reason why every state has a licensing board of some kind for real estate salespeople and real estate brokers, okay? So understand it for what it is, all right? It is not legal for you to market a property claiming that you're the owner on Zillow unless you're the owner, okay? Now, you can be the owner via an owner finance contract, okay? In other words, you don't even have to get a mortgage or put money down or anything like that. You can buy a property on contract, land trust, land contract, installment sales contract, grant, deed, bond for title, whatever, and legally own the property even though somebody else is on the mortgage. But that doesn't change the fact that if you simply have a purchase and sale agreement on a property, okay, you cannot legally market, number one, the property itself unless you've got legal title, equitable title, or a power of attorney. And number two, you certainly can't go out there in the marketplace and tell people that you own the house, because you don't, okay? And you're committing fraud and false advertising, all the stuff that we just talked about. So when you guys are doing stuff, there are ways to do it legally. You can have the seller convey equitable title to you in the contract, okay? Equitable title to the property contingent upon, your closing or whatever at that point in time. And then you can market the property, all right? But as it relates to the standard quote unquote wholesale, which is not really the standard purchase and sale agreement, that doesn't give you the ability, any type of legal ability, to go out there and say that you own the house, because you don't. All right. And if you go through these comments on this thing, and this is what group is this? Cash buyers, JVs, and deals. Okay. And you feel like people say, okay, it happens all the time. Of course it does, because people, it's like they buy these stupid courses and, they follow along with the herd, and nobody does any due diligence to determine whether or not what they're doing is actually legal. Okay. They just do what they're told. And, I've heard this argument time and time again that, well, everybody else does it, so it must be legal. Well, that's like the dumbest argument try that in court. Okay. Just because a bunch of other people sell cocaine doesn't make it legal. Right. And it's just, it's ridiculous, the stuff that they teach in these courses, okay? So, Let's go through some of these comments just so guys can hear this. Let me see. So here's one. Dina Marmol says, normal, in quotes, yes, however, improper and legally tricky. Okay, so basically she's saying it's illegal. Okay. All right. All right. Dustin Ring says, no, and no. I see this all the time. It's illegal and annoying as hell. And it is. Couldn't agree with him more. Okay. And so then somebody else, okay, Queen Elizabeth Richard, I don't know, whatever that is. They normally have it under contract with seller planning to assign contract and or double closing. Again, does not make it legal to say that you're the owner of the property and market the property. It doesn't make a difference. Okay. All right. Nigel Swain says, transparency is how you run a business. I could not agree with him more. You guys listen to the podcast. I mean, we have episode after episode on total transparency. Okay. And all right. So then somebody comes back and argues, where is the lack of transparency if the seller is aware? The lack of transparency is the fact that the person that you're marketing to, the buyer, is not aware that you're not the owner. Okay. And he comes back and says, okay, you're saying you own the property when in reality it's just a contract. And then he comes back and says, all right, man, everyone loves honest people. You get more love and respect that way. Ask Gary V, which is Gary Vaynerchuk, for those of you who don't know. Okay. Anyway, so you can go through this, if you guys go through this other group, and you can see all this thing on here. So then people are like, okay, so this is K. Murray Smith. And this is, again, it's taking something totally out of context. It says, so many haters against wholesalers, yet everything bought and sold can be assigned. That's not the answer to the question. Okay. And then David Doctera comes back and says, it's not about hate, it's about legality. And he's correct. It's absolutely about legality. Okay. All right, here we go again. And so exactly, hating on the efforts of wholesalers. They don't even know what they're what they are actually doing because they're not wholesaling. But hating on the efforts of wholesalers that invest time and money into getting properties under contract and strategically utilizing all mediums to market and get a seller's property sold is wrong because ... Anyway, my understanding is that most contracts are assignable unless noted otherwise. I'm not a lawyer, and you should definitely check with your state's attorney. We're not talking about assignability because the contract is assignable. Okay? Again, they're not answering the question, and they're going off on all these tangents. Okay? Trying to make it like some big thing about, everybody's hating on quote unquote wholesaler, but you don't even know the title for what you're doing is what's called contract assignor. All right? But this is how you guys get into trouble, okay? Because number one, you're buying these stupid courses that are teaching you stuff that is completely illegal and incompetent. And then you don't do your due diligence, and then you follow along with this herd of lemmings that's out there that's doing all kinds of illegal stuff, all right? And it's just, all you're doing is asking for trouble, okay? You got to do, all right, so somebody else just responded to one of my comments here, so... Let's see what they said. This will be fun. It's actually going on live right now. Again, it's another stupid answer. Okay. Daniel Davis says, if you have equitable interest in the property, at that point, you're allowed to assign it. I never said anything different than that. Okay. Whether they do this on or off Zillow shouldn't matter. And whether they make money or not, that shouldn't stop you. If they die tomorrow, you won't make any more money or lose any. What does that even mean? Okay, this is the caliber of people that are out there in real estate. And this is one of the reasons why I've been telling you guys this for years. You're going to kill the golden goose, okay? Because of acting like this, like an idiot and like a person who doesn't care one iota about transparency or actually doing things legally. And it's, you know what? I told you guys this years ago when I first started seeing all this crap that they were teaching in these courses. And it's already happened. It happened in Ohio. It happened in Illinois, all right? I think, who is it now? North Carolina? Somebody else is also coming down. Pennsylvania is coming down on this whole thing where now they want you to get licensed, okay? Just so you can assign a contract, which is, it's unconstitutional, number one. But nonetheless, they're going to try to enforce that because why? Why are they trying to do that? It's not just because of revenue, which obviously they want more of, but they'll eventually get to the point where to do anything in real estate, you have to have a real estate license, which of course is good for the state because it's more tax revenue via the quote unquote license fee, even though it's totally unconstitutional, but most people won't fight it anyway. But The reason that they're doing it is because so many sellers that are out there they've had enough. They've had enough of the nonsense that these clowns pull. Okay? It's all the stuff that's taught in these courses. You can hear it on podcast after podcast after podcast that I've done before. Okay? And you got to, I mean, if you're going to do it right. Okay? You know, you don't have to lie to people. You don't have to falsely advertise. You don't have to break the law. You don't have to put in stupid clauses that allow, what they call the weasel clauses that allow you to get out in the event that you can't find somebody to assign the contract to. You shouldn't be engaging in contract assignment deals unless you already know that you can assign the contract. And the thing they teach, or I should say don't teach, is that the process that they use is backwards, okay? Because what should happen is this. The very first thing that you should be doing, if you're going to quote-unquote wholesale or get into contract assignments, either one, is you should be building what's called a buyer's list, all right? You're going to work backwards. Forget about inventory. Forget about contracting on properties and throwing spaghetti against the wall, thinking that you're going to sell or assign the contract. The very first thing that you should be doing, this is what I teach anyway, is building your buyer's list. And by building a buyer's list, I don't mean going on Facebook and putting up some stupid post, looking for cash buyers to add to my list and getting a bunch of emails so that you can shotgun out any property that you get under contract. That is not how you build a buyer's list. Now, can you build a buyer's list that way? Yes, you can, but listen to what I'm trying to tell you. They're not pre-qualified, okay? What you have to do, if you want to do it correctly, is you want to go on there, and for any person that you're going to have on your quote-unquote buyer's list, is you want to get them on the phone and pre-qualify them utilizing all the questions that I actually have in my course as well, where you're finding out exactly what it is that they're looking for. What is their definition of a deal? Okay? What's their definition of a deal? What's, the max amount they're going to spend? What's the max amount of repairs that they're willing to do, right? What's their total monthly volume that they can handle? In other words, how many deals can they do at whatever amount? Let's say if their top amount is $100,000, how many $100,000 deals can you do in a month, right? 2, 3, 5, 10, 100. How many can you do before you're tapped out? And you need to know all of this information up front. What's a deal killer? All right. You need to understand, okay, what's a deal killer? And then if you have it set up correctly, you take all these people and you dump them into Podio with all of the parameters, all the pre-qualifying questions. And that way, every time that you're looking at a potential deal, it's very simple. You can filter by selection in Podio, okay? And it will drill down in like 2 seconds. I mean, you can do the same thing in Excel or numbers if you're on a Mac, whatever. You can do the exact same thing. You don't even have to have Podio. You can do it in a spreadsheet. But nonetheless, you can filter by selection and drill it down to the point that you're looking at a deal and say, okay, let's find out who this deal works for, okay? Because you've already pre-qualified your buyer, and you know that once you find a deal that matches their criteria, you have the ability to then close, okay, and assign the contract if that's what you guys are going to do, okay? Does that make sense? So hopefully that helps you guys out, all right? There's lots of different things. If you're interested in learning how to do it correctly, I run courses on this stuff. You can either go to the website and sign up, or you can PM me, and I'll drop the link here in this Facebook thing in a second, okay? So let's see what this guy said. This will be funny. All right, so here's John George Alvarez. The only way you will probably won't get in trouble when wholesaling is when advertising. You must state very clearly that you are selling 100% of your equitable interest in the contract. Don't present yourself as the owner. Disclose, state the address, state sale price, state your non-refundable deposit amount. Be careful about when saying anything about repair amounts, and disclose all material facts. If you're double closing, use a title company that understands the process. I highly recommend that you consult a lawyer and educate yourself about your state laws. Okay, so there you go. This guy's at least on the right track to doing it correctly and trying to put out information to tell people not to do things that are completely illegal. All right. So that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I don't know. If you're doing this, you need to stop. Okay. And the other thing too is if you're going to go out there and like this guy says, and market the property on Zillow and on these other platforms or whatever, just for your own protection, I would absolutely make sure that you have a memorandum filed at the courthouse, because once you put that property out there to market it, all these clowns that you see in these groups can come in and undercut you with the seller and completely steal your deal. Okay. Even though it's illegal to do that, it's called tortious interference. And it would be illegal for the seller to enter into two contracts simultaneously unless there was he had a clause in the original contract allowing him, the highest and best offer, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There are ways to legally do that, but most contracts, most purchase and sale agreements don't include that language or verbiage. But I would definitely be filing a memorandum to make sure that you are protected if you're going to be putting out all this information out all over the internet, if that makes any sense, because it's very easy for somebody to come in and just steal it right out from underneath you. Okay. So at any rate, don't falsely advertise. Okay. Don't lie. Don't say that you're the owner when you're not the owner. I don't care if you have a purchase and sale contract or not. All right. Doesn't make a difference. Don't do these. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that this is even a question. Okay. So if you go back here, how and why is this even a question? Why? It's because of all these people that are out there that are committing fraud. Okay. And you guys are, like I said, you're going to kill the golden goose where you have this easy ability to make money because you're going, all of these states are now moving in the direction of licensing. And licensing is ridiculous, okay? It doesn't mean you know more, and it doesn't mean that the transaction is any cleaner or more legal, because some of the most uneducated people in real estate are real estate licensees, okay? And I've been one, so trust me, I know. But there's some of the most uneducated people in real estate, bar none. So the license doesn't mean anything. All it is a revenue generator for the state. But they're going to eventually force it just to do something as simple as a contract assignment, even though, again, like I said, it's unconstitutional. They have no legal right to do that. Silence is acquiescence, and until somebody challenges the state in court, they will continue enacting it, state after state after state after state. And you just, you got a beautiful opportunity and a beautiful gift here right now with what you can do in real estate. And unfortunately, the bad apples, they're going to kill it. They're going to absolutely kill the business. Okay. They're going to kill it because of all this crap that they end up pulling. Okay. Does that make sense? So hopefully that helps you guys. That's it. That's all I got. Like I said, you want to learn how to do it right, totally transparent, legal, with the, statutes and everything to back it up. Hit me up. You can sign up we have a couple different programs. You can actually work deals with me. But yeah, don't do all this other stuff. I mean, you're asking for trouble that you don't want. Okay. And, if you've never had a state attorney general contact you, or, worse, the cops or prosecutors or whatever, it's just not a scenario that you want to get involved in, and it's not necessary. Okay. So do it right, do it legal, do it totally transparent. Make sure everybody knows what's going on. Okay. You don't have to hide anything. If you got to hide something, you're doing something wrong. Does that make sense? All right. You guys go out there, make some money. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Virtual Real Estate Investor Podcast with Vincent Polisi. If you found any value in this podcast, please use our Give to Get method and take a moment to give us a 5-star rating in iTunes and your favorite podcast service so we can keep giving you excellent episodes of real content you can use to profit today.